Hey, thanks for being here. I'm Erica Jago, and let's talk about email today, how it works in my business, how it might work in yours if you're building something around your spiritual work as a coach, a yoga teacher, a healer. This is going to apply to you, so grab your cup of coffee, your matcha, and let's talk. What I got wrong with email, this is where I want to start because for years, and I mean years, I thought email was about one thing, getting people to say yes to my big offer. And that meant selling my high ticket program, all of the intensive work, the most expensive thing that actually paid my bills. That's what I was talking about in my emails. And the results was that I was not getting anyone replying back. There was nobody buying it. And I'd send these emails out about my creative residency, and they always talked about my process, about the transformation, about what was happening inside of the residency. And people would open them and they would read them because I could see the open rate, but then there would be no sales that were happening. And it took me a really long time to realize what I was actually doing wrong. I was trying to convince people to buy something that they didn't even know if they believed in yet. So the way that email actually works and what needed to change is that I started sending emails out every single week, not just when I was ready to sell the program, not just a month before the program was about to launch. I started emailing every single week about what was actually happening in my life that week. Like, what did I think about this? Or what was my challenges in my work that week? Or what did I believe in? And when I started to send out those personal emails, it wasn't necessarily about brain dumping or trauma dumping or any of that. It was about really showing people my mindset and my work tenacity and the ways that I was able to set my schedule up to be a single mom running a six-figure business within 25 hours in a week. So I sent them to those people, whether they bought them or not. It wasn't about the sales, it was about my personality, about my work ethic. And months would go by, sometimes 6 months would go by, and I could see that people were still reading them. My open rate got a little bit better, but it wasn't until they got to know me and watched me show up and hear my voice week after week that they started to buy. And I noticed more books were getting sold. I noticed that those books, like which was be a $45 sale, would turn into a $25 upsell to the chakra journal or whatever else I was upselling at the moment. And then those people who bought the book and did the upsell were more likely to join the residency. And that's when I realized something really important. And think about this, it's that first yes that's the hardest yes. Because once they bought from me that first time, even if it was for the small $25 journal, something changed in their mind. They had to cross that threshold of like, am I really the type of person who's going to buy from this type of person? Once they said yes, once they crossed that threshold, then the next yes became so much easier, like incredibly easier. Because what that tells me about my funnel, and this is really what the funnel really looks like, is, and I'll say one thing here is that numbers are honest in a way that your feelings aren't. Because when you're doing a professional business, it is a personal development as well. And you think no sales equals I suck. And that's not the truth. When we look at the numbers and the numbers are being honest, if you sell a book, for example, or you sell a $45 low ticket offer and it sits at the top, anyone can buy that. There's really no barrier. It's $45, right? And if you want to drop it down to say a $25, it comes a choice. Do I want to read what this person wrote? Do I believe in this person? And so now what I can see is that 39% of the people who would buy my book would buy my journal. I can see the conversion rates. I can see the upsell rates. So when I use Kajabi in my back office, I can log in and see that this person bought this, and they give me the analytics in my back office. So 39% of those people who bought the book bought the journal. That's not everyone. It's not even like a very high percentage. But what it tells me is that those people who liked me enough to spend once are willing to spend money with me again. So I'm onto something. And I think the part where it gets really interesting is that once someone has bought from me, even if it's that small, low ticket thing, I can invite them differently. I can say to them, Would you like to work with me one-on-one? Would you like to join my creative residency? Would you like to go a little bit deeper? And what that tells me about those 38% of people who bought the low ticket product, they are more likely to say yes to the high ticket work. So I know it's not a high percentage, but at least it's a real percentage and it's real data. And what's important is that that sale was built entirely on email. Those emails are what created the familiarity to someone who might have seen me on Instagram, signed up for my newsletter, and then that familiarity created the willingness for them to buy something small. And that small purchase created the credibility. They liked what they bought. And once they liked what they bought, the credibility created the yes. And that's the funnel that I build for myself, what I help my clients build. And the reason why I'm telling you this is because I see so many people skip this part. They think, oh, I'm just going to launch my high ticket offering and hope people know who I am. Or I think maybe even the more familiar one is email's way too hard. I'm just going to use Instagram. What I know, and I showed you the numbers, and what I also see in my clients, like I've had 2 clients whose Instagram accounts got hacked. And Instagram is also on top of rented land. Instagram is an algorithm, and that changes. Once they update and change the algorithm, then your reach could disappear and you have no control over that. So that's why I think email is so different, because email is not rented. It's your owned property. It's the one place where people have actually chosen to hear from you, and they've given you their sacred inbox. I think of it as like private real estate. I know I guard my email like it's my own property. And so I take emails really seriously. And email is what really builds the proof that you can actually deliver. So when someone's been reading your emails for, say, 6 months, when they've watched how you think, when they've noticed how you show up consistently, when they've seen that that you really do know what you're talking about, they are so much more likely to buy from you. And it doesn't matter whether it's a $45 or a $25 or a $3,000 coaching package. The small purchases prove your credibility. The consistency proves that you are a serious business owner who will give your entire passion, dedicated, devoted work to her most serious clients. And your voice proves that you're not AI. You're the person there with real life experience. You know the questions to ask. You know the answers because you've lived it. So I want to give you something to do, because maybe this has got some gears spinning in your head and you're ready to do something about it. I would love for you to start sending emails. And I don't want you to think as emails as sales, like a lot of us, especially in the spiritual realm, think that that feels icky. I want you to send an email to just show your readers how you think, or to share something that feels really joyous to you or grounding to you. Write about your work in a way that, here's a challenge that I faced this week. Here's the breakthrough that I got. I hope this inspires you. Or here's a perspective that I'm taking on this topic. Or here's something that I've learned that maybe no one else is saying. I want you to make your low ticket a thing at that point, because maybe your low ticket offering is a breakdown of that. Maybe it's a Google spreadsheet, or it's a template that you have that you want to share with them. It could even be a journal. Anything that is around the, I don't know, $25 to $50 price range, a workbook, something that costs something that proves that you can deliver. Put that in front of your people, because if your people have really been reading your emails for a while, like the ones who already know you, then we can start to watch what happens. Because if we're watching and we can see that a percentage of your readers bought that, then we know that we are on the right path of inviting those buyers to the next level, right? The bigger work, the higher investment. And that's how we can take a $25 investment and turn it into a $3,000 client. We're looking at turning those small investments into lifelong clients. That's the goal, because then we can show that we are here to overserve them. We are here to devote our knowledge and expertise into their work as well. And it's a collaboration at that point. So definitely watch what the percentages say, how many of them said yes. And the thing is that that percentage, that number right there is going to tell you everything. It's going to tell you if your positioning is clear, right? That's a huge one. I think I could do an entire podcast on that, the positioning, because if someone opens something and downloads something, then you've got the right message. If nobody's responding, then we need to work on your positioning. The second thing that that percentage is going to tell you is if your people actually believe in you, if you're attracting the right people, or if they're just the curious ones. That also tells us if your voice is landing or if you're still performing. That percentage is more honest than any follower count that you could get. It's more real than any open rates. It's way more true than anything else that you could absolutely measure. So again, email is not the sales tool. Email is the trust builder. It's where you get to work out your voice, work out your perspectives. And trust is what converts everything else. So this is what I'm thinking about every single week. And if you want to go a little bit deeper, I'm writing about this in my newsletter every Sunday. I love to break things down. I love to show you how funnels work, how numbers and stories can convert from a post or a newsletter into real money for your business. But I also want you to know that this is what's happening right now in my business. I am a solo creator running a spiritual business. I'm a graphic designer, and I'm a single mom that does all of this within 25 hours a week. So before I head out to go pick up my daughter, there's a series on Instagram that I'm running called 12 Residents, 12 Weeks, 12 Offers. It's watching how the 12 people inside of my creative residency are building things from scratch alongside with me. We have Alba, who's launching her women's circles. We have Angie, who's designing her workbook in Google Documents that looks very professional. And you get to see how we're doing that. You get to see the shifts that are happening, what's possible. And if watching them makes you think, I want to do that, that's something that I know I could build to. I want to know exactly how to position something, how to message it, how to brand it, how to actually sell it. That's what we do inside of Tabernacle. So just head to the link in the show notes, subscribe to my newsletter so you don't miss the full breakdowns. And if you want to watch the 12 residents build in real time, follow me on Instagram. This is the show. Thank you for listening, and I will see you in the next episode.